No, but they gave away a penalty very quickly, which is not a good tactic by New Zealand. They're pretty fired up at the moment, and the big men of Australia's front row have tasted some of the hard tackling by the Kiwi forwards, but to give a penalty this early, not good. It means that Wally Lewis can kick. Oh, and a bad kick by Lewis too. So there's a life for the Kiwis. They're still inside Australia's half, so they've got a great chance here to attack.
Running it across now. Tunks again. He's the man that's going to take it up for him, but he's not taking it too far up in these tackles. Roach.
I'm surprised that Australia don't want to kick straight away here.
There's Sterling with the first kick. Going back for it is Darryl Williams. As we'd expect, tough tackling from both sides. We'd expect the Kiwis to kick downfield. All of the players getting a little bit of confidence from their first touch of the ball. Darryl Williams with the kick. An understandable error from Dale Shearer. It's a very slippery ball out there. Perhaps misjudging where the kick was going to land. One wonders how long the tackles can continue at this rate. There's Gene Miles. Michael O'Connor drops his first touch. Picked up again by Sterling. Sure, that's a little piece of play that Michael O'Connor will want to forget in his first rugby league test. He's played 13 union tests for Australia.
It's a good play by Steve Roach here, who's just getting up to play the ball now. They're using their big men well.
Lewis with a chip over the top. Who's coming through for it? Williams dives on the ball. Good safe take from Darryl Williams. O'Hara. Sorensen, a long pass, not picked up. Olsen Filipina grabs it. See just how much surface water there is on that paddock. Throw. Roll party.
He's off.
Kurt Sorensen. Back to Williams for the kick. It's what they're going to want to do. Gary Jack couldn't take that first time, going back for it.
That was a very good kick by Darryl Williams. He sighted where Jack was, kicked about 15 metres away from him, make him run for the ball, and so they put New Zealand back to the halfway line.
What a cold breeze starting to come across the park now. That's the kind of loose arm that Wayne Wallace won't want to be seen with. Sterling, Lewis. Strong running from the Australians, good tackling from Joe Ropati.
And bad play from Dean Bell then. He didn't get across to get his man at all, and he allowed Miles to get right through him, but good play by Joe Ropati, coming in off the wing, had to leave his man too, and to really do the smother tackle.
Brent Kenny standing just outside Wally Lewis. Man many thought should have been the standoff. Kiwis ball. Cooper waiting, just being held in at the moment. Cooper going himself. Roll party. Wallace. Cooper. McGann. Mark Graham with a big bustling run, but you can take it as read. He'll be heavily marked today, along with Olsen Filipina. Kurt Sorensen. Gary Probe with a little chip through. Picked up by O'Connor. Lewis and Sterling combining well. Wayne Pearce, wrapped up by Mark Gray. Sterling with the kick, charged down by McGann. Picked up by Folks. Another making his debut. Folks in the second row. Pretty tight, tense stuff at this stage. Certainly no clear advantage to either side. The weather has been the leveller by the looks of it. Certainly it's taken the edge of pace that Australia had. Superb combinations. Good timing of passes. O'Connor has miles outside him.
Well, that's a great try, Australia. A tremendous try. And not good tackling by New Zealand once again, but a marvellous try and a lovely pass from Gary Jack. He really made that try possible, but the Kiwis could have stopped it when you see the replay. I'm surprised, Tony, that the Australians are quite prepared to spin it and spin it wide and use their fullback in the back line. But it's a very nice piece of ball control here. But I thought really the move could have been stopped. As you have a look now, when it comes right out to the swing three-quarter, and he's looking back in field. This is where the danger happened. Beat Steenveld quite clearly, and a very nice link then with his in three-quarter Kenny, who shows extreme pace to get underway quickly and to score in the corner.
He was always going to be the danger man, Brett Kenny, whether it's standoff or as he is playing in the centres along with Gene Miles. That is an awesome centre combination. First blood to Australia.
I wonder how good this boy is at kicking. We've heard a lot about him, Mike O'Connor. And he's way out on the sideline. He's got a good patch of ground to run in. He's an in-step kicker. He's on the right side of the ground. Plenty of power there. That ball yet is to get heavy. It's still quite light out there, so they can kick at least about 42 metres.
Just looking at the replay again. That's where the space was made.
Come on!
So disappointment for this Kiwi side. We'll see what resolve they have now to come back from it. It's going to be a demoralising blow, no doubt. They want to keep the ball as much as possible in Australia's half, but they're going to have to stop people like Dale Shearer.
Well, that was bad by New Zealand then to allow that play to run straight through. But looking at that scoreboard, it says only about 8 or 9 minutes gone. A try to Australia. That's a great way to win a test game. Score in the opening 10 of each half, and you really should have the test.
So back well into the Kiwis' half now. See how well the defence can hold with all the tackles in hand. Lewis trying to set something up. Pearce sees a danger man. Oh, superb play again. Can they stop this man? Once again, the two centres, Miles and Kenny, combining superbly. Drop ball there, Shearer picks it up. James Lillaway has it for New Zealand. Shearer went to gather it, but couldn't. Kiwis in possession. Sorensen. Good pass, Bell. Trying to get some life into the bones now, the Kiwis. Ropati. The Australian tackling every bit as good as the Kiwis. Kick through from Owen Wright. Gary Jack there as the ball dribbles to a halt. O'Connor. The tackle, Gary Prone. Fierce.
The Australians are very confident with their ball handling under these conditions. They're quite prepared to run hard, determined, even though there's no support, and make sure their team reforms when they've been seeing a kick which has gone right back to their fullback. Very good control by Australia at the moment. But there's a glorious mistake.
Picked up on very quickly by Owen Wright, the man on the spot. Kiwis in possession. Wallace. Cooper, the double round with Wallace. McGann takes the tackle. Dean Bell outside him. Crunching tackle. Prome. Hasn't been given a lot of space, Gary Prome, but certainly has looked determined with his runs. Mark Graham with the miss-out pass to Luluai. O'Hara on the wing, bundled into touch.
It was good solid play by New Zealand then. They cut out Olsen Filipano. I thought they may have used him a bit more at the moment, but he's been quite quiet out there for the Kiwis. But good control also by New Zealand. They're playing the open game, which has surprised me.
Prome in quickly for the tackle. Really has to be the method, give them no space at all. Sterling. Kick through. O'Hara has it. Rock puts the first one, but caught in the second tackle. Peter Sterling up there very quickly. Williams. Would have been a nice flip-up pass, but it got touched by the tackler.
Gary Prome. He's turning out to be quite successful as a loose forward, and the first penalty the Kiwis have got.
Yes, Gary Prome, under the watchful gaze there of Australian coach Don Ferner, is better known perhaps as a centre, where he plays for Eastern Suburbs in Australia, where he has played for Hull Kingston Rovers for quite some time, their player of the year last year, but preferred by Graham Lowe as a loose forward. Regular spot of fullback, having played his first two tests on the wing.
Well, that was a move worked by New Zealand to run wide, drag the defence across, and turn it on the blind side to try and punch home, but it didn't quite work out.
Certainly a crunching tackle by Steve Roach on Kurt Sorensen. And Tunks and Roach, the props for Australia, have made sure of all the tackles so far. Drop ball by Owen Wright, manages to tow it through and keep it going. Advantage being played. Hard lines for Hugh McGann, but perhaps an indication of just how slippery the ground and ball are out there.
I think Australia the better handlers at the moment. They're running into a bad patch in New Zealand. It's not the right end to score tries. The other end is the better one.
Gary Jack missed in the first tackle. Gary Prome has him safely second time. Those are the passes that they have to make. Two super centres, Brett Kenny and Gene Miles, being served beautifully by Sterling and Lewis. That's fairly high from Kurt Sorensen. What does Robin Whitfield have to say about that? Nothing? Tunks.
Very good hands from forwards out there, Tony. To see big men take passes like that is particularly good by Australia.
Just 4-0 Australia lead. 15 minutes gone in the first half. O'Hara. the most experienced of the New Zealanders. Dane O'Hara playing in his 32nd test today. Ropati. And there's a man who has refound his form again this year. Joe Ropati was injured on the tour of England and France last year, came home from that tour, but this year has really found his form again just at the right time. Filipina court, managing to hold the ball, contested.
That was an effective play from New Zealand. They had it set up on the open side, but the players were not linking up. They're not quite really finding their form at the moment. I think they want this test under their belt before they're going to show their true class.
O'Connor thought about putting it back to Pearce. Folks. Another of the debutants in the second row. Here's Cleal. Very dangerous runner if you give him any space whatever. Crusher Cleal, they call him. He's the man that took Mark Graham out of a test match, you may remember, with a rather high tackle. Certainly having some trouble containing the centres. The big roar of Kiwi coming from the crowd. Pearce trying to go on the short side there, right by the sideline, but they're only 15 metres out. Sterling with the bomb. Too far. Bit of a wasted effort from Australia there.
I think the Australians can be very happy with their first quarter. They've had New Zealand on the back foot most of the time. Their centres have obviously got the edge of the Kiwis, and the big men up front, that's Tunks, particularly in Roach, doing a great job.
Certainly their two props are specialist props rather than New Zealand's converted second rowers, Kurt Sorensen and Owen Wright. Shane Cooper. Kick from Darryl Williams. O'Connor. Running away from Dean Bell, across field, and back again. Just the slippery footing. You don't run away from Dean Bell on a hard ground, that's for sure. Oh, intercept. James Holloway almost away. He's going to be brought back for that.
That was the only gift the Kiwis have had. That was an absolute certainty, really. If he'd have taken it, he was in position to intercept the pass. He had no one to beat. Jack was a mile out of position, and Lilaway only had to have clean hands, and, well, that was goodbye to Australia. They could have scored. It was a certainty pass going straight to him. Look at that. Dropped, and he was clear. The run was only about 45 metres.
Just the kind of thing that James Lilaway likes to stumble on, and normally it's bread and butter for him to get a try from that. Slippery condition, slippery ball. Pearce getting the pass back, being allowed to in the tackle. Royce Simmons, the new hooker, clever ball distributor. Sterling to Tunks. Good tackle from Shane Cooper. And they're starting to run off their men well now. This is Steve Roach. And both Roach and Tunks sucking in at least two of the opposition to tackle them each time. Big fend, tackle missed. Kenny and Miles again.
A great play by the Australian centres. Nowhere they really link close together.
They can play inside or outside of each other. They double round beautifully. Williams. That he's destined for stardom if he can find the form that selected him. That was a glimpse of it.
That was a true chance, I thought, then, with the Kiwis when Owen Wright has the ball. I should say Hume again. A great chance for Lilaway, who linked close then into the forward play, and the gap was on for him to take it. But unfortunately, a strong tackle on him again put paid to the Kiwis' chances.
Certainly was a spot tackle, wasn't it?
Promesy's having all sorts of bother back there too with his right angle when he chased the winger. And he's not too happy, Gary Prome.
Glenn Gallagher putting some of the magic spray on Gary Prome's ankle. Wonder what messages he's conveying this time as well. Cooper, the little double round. I think that really lost momentum. They weren't quite sure where that was going. Held right. Gary Prome, good determined running. Brought down by Folks.
And he's New Zealand leading tackle count too, Tony. In the first 20 minutes, Prome was tackled 8 times.
Starting to see a little more verve and fire in the Kiwi runs now. Sorensen. Good pass to Rob Hardy from Sorensen, coming back inside. Cooper. Looking around for Wallace. Dean Bell running in as a decoy. They ran into each other.
That was a bit of bad luck, I think. It's just the style of play that Shane Cooper does. He tried to fool everybody when he turns a little bit, and he was looking for the gap at the same time, and just unfortunate there was obstruction.
So Lewis puts it out right on the halfway line. Played by Simmons, through Sterling and Lewis, with Tunks coming in.
It's a good move, Tony, with Peter Tunks wide out there, and there's another man, Noel Clear. They use their forward so cleverly, Australia. They go wide, then they come back up front.
See the tackle there of Kurt Sorensen on Noel Clear. They're actually good mates off the field. Both very similar style of player. Tunks again. Consistently has sucked in 2 tacklers each time, he and Roach. Kind of play we'd expect from Dane Sorensen were he available. A tackle from Hugh McGann, anticipating the ball and gets possession. A let off for the Kiwis, Gary Prome. That was super stuff from Hugh McGann.
They really had Australia on that occasion too. Had they played it quicker, just a little bit more pace out there, they could have got through the Australian defence.
Owen Wright looking to get that pass away, but very quickly wrapped up by Lewis and Roach. Cooper, Filipino, chip over the top, chasing it through Filipino, but it's not going to bounce up for him, toes it through, keeping it going. James Lillaway is up there, Shearer under pressure, still towing it through. Could be a try on here.
Well, they've got Australia gone here.
Can they get the equaliser? Filipino no way through there. Mark Graham. But pulled back.
Oh, that was good stuff by Australia. They conceded a penalty then. They were gone on the right on the terrace side. They could have scored New Zealand. Their quick play of the balls, they looked very good indeed. And so Australia wisely then threw a penalty away.
What many would call a professional foul, but certainly it worked in the circumstances.
Oh yes, that's the first time New Zealand have accelerated in their play. Have speed up their second style phase, you might say, on attack, and they looked very, very good indeed. And I think Mark Graham was right there, calling the shots quickly. Don't lie on the ground, get up and move this ball in a hurry. And Australia were really under extreme pressure. And on the right side of the goalpost, out toward the terraces, there was only 2 Australians and 4 Kiwis, and the try seemed imminent to me. So smart work, I suppose, by Kenny.
I think Australia looked a lot better in offence than defence.
Oh yes, very much so. They're slower to get back, Australia, but all their big men really, Tunks and you might say Roach, are doing a tremendous job. They're wide out and then straight up front. They're really having a better tactical game than New Zealand. Well, he can throw this one over, can't he, Tony?
I think he could. A chance to halve the margin.
In fact, he's very close in.
All the same, it's a pressure kick for Olsen Filipina. Dead simple.
Well, only 4-2, and you've got 26 minutes gone. It's this wind is turning a little bit too, and it could favour New Zealand in the second half. The ground's going to deteriorate. I still think the team that leads at half-time should win this test.
Well, I think the Kiwis can take some heart from the fact that the first realistic attack that they'd put together consistently worked for them, and certainly there is penetration possible. Wayne Wallace trying to hold the ball, dives on it. McGann caught up with that time, still with possession. Graham, Cooper, Kurt Sorensen trying to run off Cooper, but a little close there, and again ran into him. A little better, throwing it wide. Gary Prome ranging way out wide. If Owen Wright had been a little more concerned with looking for the ball and wrestling with Peter Tunks, the Kiwis would have had possession.
Both backlines are very flat out there at the moment with Australia attacking.
There's Shane Cooper. Nice pass to Williams in the line. Now if they can get going and play it again quickly, they've got Australia going back. Keeping it out the line, Gary Prome raging out wide again. Looked to get that pass back to Dean Bell. Opted to take the tackle. Bell. Cooper. Little wide. Nice pass back inside. Filipina. Cooper. Sorensen. Coming back the other way. Big pass to McGann.
New Zealand are really trying now. They've got their tempo up, they're playing well, they're confident, and they're really penetrating.
Certainly throwing lots of passes, Des. Prome again, ranging out wide. Has done it with great success in the last 10 minutes or so. Wright puts it out.
I thought that was the best effort of the Kiwis those last few minutes. Prome obviously liking to get out amongst the centres, getting away when New Zealand are with possession, which is not a bad move either.
28 minutes gone. Australia lead 4-2. 1 try to 1 penalty. Pearce. Lewis. Again, trying to gain some yardage to get them down the right end. Darryl Williams picks it up. A little difficult underfoot. Australia making good yardage. Rod Buddy. Will the Kiwis kick? Wallace having a go himself. Ropati waiting. Cooper. McGann. Oh, nice space made for Dean Bell. That's a superb piece of play. Dean Bell towing it on, being obstructed in his run. Shearer has it. Dean Bell on top of him. The tackle made and the ball is out.
Well, that was bad luck, I thought. Dean Bell veered away and made a tremendous burst from broken play. Inside him was his captain, Mark Graham. He was running away from Graham, didn't realise that, and kicked, but just didn't kick the right way.
The 2 Eastern Suburbs players from Australia, Dean Bell and Hugh McGann. Good understanding, superbly made space.
We've got Australia rattled at the moment.
Just 10 minutes remain in the first half. Can the Kiwis continue this momentum? They need to finish. Cooper. Coming right. Tough tackle. Filipina. Graham. Mark Graham gets the pass up. Oh, just about a superb try.
Oh, what a great pass from Mark Graham.
Filipina. Little toe through, and once again his progress impeded. That's 3 times I've seen obstruction. It doesn't seem to have been called.
And the referee's calling the Australian to get up, and he won't get up. He's quite concerned to lie there, give himself give the team a breather. This is the best effort by New Zealand in the game without a doubt. But it's a pity that that obstruction of Filipina wasn't noticed by the referee.
Peter Tunks it is who's injured.
I wondered the kick really wasn't quite far enough, Tony. If we think of it, it was only a little stab ahead and he had to get really outside the man. Maybe it was not quite as a deliberate obstruction we thought. But I think this game has been played in two phases. Surprisingly, not so much kicking by either side. I think both teams have only kicked about 7 or 8 times.
He's up and seems to be okay.
He doesn't seem to be too bad at all.
I wonder if it was just a space for a breather. Hard to tell.
This is when I like Australia very strong. They use their big men very, very well now when they're hard on defence. And it's surprising. I thought they would have shot it straight back to Jack to kick or to their stand-off Wally Lewis to clear.
So far, they seem to be able to get themselves out of trouble by running it. Kick from Lewis, picked up by Ropati. And doesn't Ropati look fired up today?
He's in a great game out there.
The best form we've seen from Joe Ropati in a long time. Kurt Sorensen. McGann. Wisely putting his head low into that tackle. Cooper. Right, still gets the pass back. Filipina looking for support. Takes the tackle, ball comes back. Referee holding both arms up. Peter Tunks has it. Australia in possession, perhaps a little bit of a let-off. All of this Kiwi territorial advantage will be in vain unless they can put some points on the board as a result of it. Sterling. Picked up by Williams. Nice combination with O'Hara. And back to the halfway. Lost possession though. Tunks. Sterling waiting. Big pass to Lewis. Kenny. Played out wide. Top tackle from Mark Graham. You don't get a pass away from that. Cleal.
This is very good football out there. Both sides are adopting a frontal wide attack. And each player's getting bowled over.
Good smother tackling. Wally Lewis chipped through. It hit Gary Probe, but Lewis manages to come up in possession again. Bit of a lottery in that.
What have we got? 5 minutes before half-time. This is a vital stage of the game now.
Definitely one where Australia's going to be looking for the chance to score. They will know the psychological advantage of having another try on the board before they go in at half-time. Royce Simmons. Tunks can't hold the ball, they've lost possession. Hugh McGann comes up with it for the Kiwis. Gary Probe can't hold it, knocked on, will come back for the scrum.
The centres of the ground here now are getting churned up. The light rain is still falling and that ball must be getting heavier. And a try at any stage now could clinch victory for either side. It's so closely, sort of evenly distributed now. Our forwards are doing better. The Australian centres were a problem. Now they seem to not quite be so strong.
Gary Jack in the line and he split them open. Looking for support and he has it in the form of Kenny, who gets up on his knees and just makes the line. But he hasn't given the try.
I think he has.
He has.
It's a try. He was never held, Tony. It was a fair try. He was never held.
Just the way Robin Whitfield came running back so very quickly.
If you look at the replay, it was he was not held at any stage when he took the pass off Gary Jack. A lovely switch when he comes inside him. My word, he's a great player, this Kenny.
And this must be nightmares for the New Zealand defence, because in the dying moments of that second test here last year, it was Gary Jack who split them open on that occasion. Have a look at the acceleration.
Lovely balance of his feet when he has to veer away. And it was a fair try.
Sheer determination getting him there as the defence came around.
The referee's right on the job. He says timeout for this attempt at shot at goal, because the ball had fallen over once to Michael O'Connor, and so the clock has stopped at the moment.
Michael O'Connor with the attempt round the corner kicker, as you'll see by the angle. Yes, extra points are there. 10 points to 2.
And I thought I heard the siren almost sound for half-time, but it's not. It's obviously some joyous Australian out there. And a lead of 10-2 now. I would think that's just about it from New Zealand's point of view. Their only chance really is to score quickly when they turn for the second half.
Gary Jack just showing how quickly he could split that defence apart. Kenny was struggling to get to the line, and the defence was struggling to get there with him. But Gary Jack made the space. Australia with some more confidence found from that try.
I would think too that Australia now would change their tactics. They might kick a lot more than I thought they would have, because they're leading by 8, and it's a big difference now with that type of lead under these conditions, with rain still falling. Partially to counteract this, the wind is shifting slightly, and the New Zealanders will be in favour in the second half with this light breeze.
Tough tackle from Folks on McGann.
It was hard, but I thought it was pretty high up, but I didn't think it was over vicious. He took him face on.
Looked fairly straightforward. Hugh McGann doesn't look all that bothered by it. Robin Whitfield says he's not having any more of it. Don Ferner, I would think, could be relieved a little by the last try.
Like it's going to be shaped up really quickly at the moment. And wisely the referee has charged in a hurry there, Tony. He must have sensed the loose arm was starting to appear.
Seems the initial friction was between Tunks and Sorensen. Mark Graham in there settling things down a little. And now Robin Whitfield is going to lay down the law. He wants the two captains.
Surprising, I think, under these conditions. A very good, quiet sort of test, you might say. It wasn't quite the explosive start I thought, nor have we seen very many in the way of high arm tackles. Well, the last chance, you might say, for New Zealand, with feet up in the scrum against Australia, and they've got to get somewhere around that 22 mark. Not a bad kick either. They've got it, so they've got a last gasp, you might say, before half-time.
Clock showing right on half-time at this stage. 10 points to 2. The Kiwis are down, desperately in need of a try to go into the half-time break. Sorensen with Cooper, Mark Graham. Sorensen waiting. McGann. Well tackled by Sterling. Right flicks it wide. Mark Graham can't hold it. Cooper, Filipina, Bell, Ropati decides to go back inside. The battling Joe Ropati's having an excellent game, but he's lost possession of the tackle that time. And that perhaps was the last chance for the Kiwis. With Australia content, one imagines, to hold possession for the last 30 seconds or so. We're in extra time at half-time. The board showing that half-time is up. There is the half-time hooter. And so Australia go into the break with certainly the psychological advantage of a 2-tries-to-0 advantage. New Zealand with 1 penalty, Australia with the 2 tries and leading 10 points to 2 as they go into the half-time break. And it seems that New Zealand is becoming extremely good at applying the pressure, making the penetration, making the yardage, but not quite being able to get the tries that give them the advantage of all that work.
Well, it's be a rearranged team, the Kiwis this time. You've got Gary Prome, normally a centre-back, into loose forward. You've got Hugh McGann, normally loose forward, into the second row. Owen Wright, another second row, up to the front. So our forward pack is not quite as effective as Australia, where their big men like Tunks, Cleal and Roach have all played sterling games, I think, today. They've been quite outstanding for the Australians. They've held possession particularly well. There's been the odd drop pass, but they've done their job very well. They've linked up well. When there's been a breakdown, they've been there. And then their centres, both Brent Kenny has turned on a superlative performance, I think, out wide, and also Gene Miles. They seemed to have upset, I thought, Dean Bell earlier on. His tackling was not quite so effective. In the end, he started to settle down, where our star performer, you might say, was Joe Ropati, who's had a very strong game. But Australia very happy, I think, to turn home with an 8-point lead.
It's amazing, Des, when you think of the hard work that Tunks and Roach have done, the props. But I think that the real danger has been on every occasion with that centre combination of Miles and Brent Kenny and Gene Miles.
Yes, I think they've been quite outstanding, really. Their style of play, the Australian backline, and steered by. They couldn't be a worse day, I think, for a youngster like him to come out and be the last line of defence. His handling has been excellent. He's run well, and he's kicked quite deeply. He's obviously an added advantage for New Zealand.
Okay, at half-time, with Australia leading 10 points to 2, let's go down and have a talk to one of the men deposed for this side, a man anxious to get his test spot back, and a man that New Zealanders know as Mr. Safety, Gary Campbell, down there with Peter Williams.
Thank you, Tony, and Mr. Safety is with me. Well, Gary Campbell, not a very happy Kiwi camp at half-time, I suggest now.
No, I think Graham will be having a few words with them at half-time and trying to pick them up for the second half. We need a try early on, I think, in the second half to get them going again. Handling, though, has become a bit of a lottery out there. That ball is like a piece of soap, isn't it? That's right. It's very hard to play in these conditions, and at the best of times, when when it's really muddy, it's very hard to handle. What did you think of Olsen Filipina's tactic there in that real try-scoring opportunity that New Zealand had when Filipina had kicked the ball through? Then he had the ball in front of the post, only about 8 or 9 metres out. He elected to grub a kick it through out of the bog. Was that really perhaps the wise thing to do? No, I think, well, we had it on out wide, actually, and I think if he had looked up and just got a quick pass out wide, I think we might have scored a try in the corner. So, but Ollie's trying very hard out there, and everybody else is as well. The Australians really look very dangerous when they put that ball wide, though, don't they? They've scored both tries through backline movements. That's right, especially with Gary Jack coming into the backline. He looks very dangerous, and Brett Kenny with his speed. I think they'll throw it around in the second half as well. We'll have to try and combat that. What did you think of Kenny's second try? Perhaps reminiscent of one that was disallowed by New Zealand, or by the French referee for the New Zealand team last year. That's right. It looked as though he might have rabbited in the last little bit there, but the referee's given the try and there's 6 points on the board. Nothing we can do about it. All right, so what's the New Zealand tactics got to be, considering these conditions in the second 40 minutes? Well, we'll have to keep Australia down in their own half and just play it by ear by then. Mark will be getting the boys going, especially later on in the second half, but as I said before, we need a try early on. And finally, Gary, what do you think of young Daryl Williams, who's taken your place for this test? I frankly think he's done very well. Yes, he's playing very well. He was a bit nervous at the start, but he's come into the game well, and he is a really good fullback, and he's got a very big boot on him, and I think the tactics will be to keep it down here.
All right, Gary Campbell, thanks very much for those halftime comments. Good luck to the Kiwi squad for the second 40 minutes.
Thanks very much, Peter.
Gary Campbell, the second string Kiwi fullback at the moment anyway. All right, it's 10 points to 2 after the first 40 minutes here at Carlaw Park in the first of 3 tests between New Zealand and Australia in 1986. Let's take a look at some of the highlights of the first half.
Pretty tight, tense stuff at this stage. Certainly no clear advantage to either side. The weather has been the leveller by the looks of it. Certainly it's taken the edge of pace that Australia had. Superb combinations. Good timing of passes. O'Connor has miles outside him.
Well, that's a great try, Australia. A tremendous try. And not good tackling by New Zealand once again, but a marvellous try and a lovely pass from Gary Jack.
Good tackle from Shane Cooper. And they're starting to run off their men well now. This is Steve Roach. And both Roach and Tux sucking in at least 2 of the opposition to tackle them each time. Big fend, tackle missed. Kenny and Miles again.
A great play by the Australian centres. Maybe they really linked close together.
They can play inside or outside of each other. They double round beautifully. Williams. Superb running from Darryl Williams. I said at the start of the match that he's destined for stardom if he can find the form that selected him. That was a glimpse of it.
That was a true chance, I thought, then, with the Kiwis when Owen Wright has the ball. I should say Hugh McGann. A great chance for Luluai, who linked close then into the forward play, and the gap was on for him to take it. But unfortunately, a strong tackle on McGann put paid to the Kiwis' chances.
Kind of play we'd expect from Dane Sorensen were he available. A tackle from Hugh McGann. Anticipating the ball against possession. A let off for the Kiwis. Gary Prone. That was super stuff from Hugh McGann.
They really had Australia on that occasion too. Had they played it quicker, just a little bit more pace out there, they could have got us through the Australian defence.
Owen Wright looking to get that pass away, but very quickly wrapped up by Lewis and Roach. Cooper, Filipina, chip over the top, chasing it through Filipina, but it's not going to bounce up for him, toes it through, keeping it going. James Luluai is up there, Shearer under pressure, still towing it through. Could be a try on here.
Well, they've got Australia gone here.
Can they get the equaliser? Filipina no way through there. Mark Graham. Back.
Oh, that was good stuff by Australia. They conceded a penalty then.
All the same, it's a pressure kick for Olsen Filipina. Dead simple.
The Australian centres were a problem. Now they seem to not quite be so strong.
Gary Jack in the line, and he split them open. Looking for support, and he has it in the form of Kenny, who gets up on his knees and just makes the line. But he hasn't given the try.
I think he has.
He has.
Try. He was never held, Tony. It was a fair try. He was never held.
Just the way Robin Whitfield came running back so very quickly.
So Australia have scored the only tries in the match so far. Both of them scored by the centre, Kenny, and one conversion by the new man Michael O'Connor, a former Australian Rugby Union international as well. He becomes yet another double international, league and union for Australia. Just the one penalty kicked by Olsen Filipina for New Zealand. 10 points to 2. The Kangaroos lead the Kiwis here at Carlaw Park at half-time. And as Gary Campbell said, it's really a case of the Kiwis getting some points on the board very soon in the second half. We're about a minute away from kick-off for the second 40 minutes as we now rejoin Tony Palmer and Des White.
Thank you, Peter. Well, it certainly has been a little disappointing for the Kiwis. Perhaps the chance where James Luluai got an intercept. Des White, I think, had he held the ball and scored a try, we might have a completely different complexion on this game now.
Yeah, I thought that was a gift chance. It's not very often you see a centre lying of which he's standing at the back line, almost looking toward the pass that's coming toward you, and it's an Australian passing straight to you, and he had a clear run because Jack was a mile out of position. I thought that could have been a major change for New Zealand. He only had to sprint away, and he could have sprinted all right and got there, and he would have scored virtually under the goalpost because the pass was in about centre field. It was, I think, a big point as far as New Zealand is concerned. A drop pass, that was it.
Looking at the statistics, not a great deal between the two sides, except perhaps the total errors is the telling thing. New Zealand has made 10 and Australia has made 7, and that may just be the difference.
Noticeable too, Tony, that Hugh McGann is the leading tackle count for New Zealand. He's taken 12 tackles in the first half, which is a great effort. The scrums favour Australia 5-4. The total number of kicks taken in the game today are 20. Australia have kicked 11 times, New Zealand 9. And the penalties favour New Zealand 5-3. So really errors, I think, are the only major factor in this game. But this opening 10 or 12 minutes, Tony, the most vital one from New Zealand.
And would you go along with Gary Kemble's view that perhaps Darryl Williams will need to kick, or perhaps Owen Wright dropping back and kick and try and keep them in their own half?
Yes, I'm a bit surprised that we have elected to play so much ball. I think obviously the coach, Graham Lowe, may have said, try it out there, Mark Graham, see what it's like. Get the feel of the leather. If you think you can control the ball for a while, let it move and give those players just the feel of confidence with getting the ball. I thought they would have kicked straight off from the initial start and camped themselves inside the Australians' 22 and kept there, pressurised them and then tried to switch their moves and score the tries. But it wasn't to be, and only slowly but surely in the game did we see the kicks becoming more effective. Each time, of course, it's made it that much harder for you to get back to the halfway line. And I think now New Zealand have got to kick very, very deep, apply a great deal of pressure like they did about 10 minutes before half-time, and this time try and finish some moves. I still think, Tony, that we need this game under our belt. There's not quite the same cohesion amongst the forwards. There's been a bit of a mix-up at times in moves, and I think they'll all be so much better for this one test behind them.
An interesting thought there's that perhaps the team does need one test under their belts to feel the cohesion. I have seen on a couple of occasions little doubles round with Shane Cooper, and there has perhaps been a little lack of understanding there. But then on other occasions, Shane Cooper has fooled the Australians completely twice by nipping around from the base of the scrum once, and the second time just by balking in sleight of hand. So into the second half, Hugh McGann. All the Kiwis in clean jumpers. Don't imagine they'll stay that colour for long. Dean Bell.
Well, that's the third tackle in New Zealand yet look to as though they're going to kick. It looks like they are now.
Hugh McGann. Straight to Gary Jack. Jack takes it beautifully. Royce Simmons going on his own, plays a good dummy half game, good ball distributor. Tucks. Owen Wright the tackler. Bit of a tentative start to this second half. Australia creeping up into Kiwi territory now. That's the 22 you can see in front of them, the chip through. Going back for it is O'Hara. Running it back into play, but he's only 3 metres outside his own line. Now Williams. Right in front of the posts now, about 4 metres out. Sorensen. Bell waiting.
These are not good tactics by New Zealand. They've got a back now in amongst forward play, and they should have the big men clearing their line, not backs.
McGann's kick charged down, luckily salvaged by Mark Graham. But Sterling was up there so quickly. Olsen Filipina has looked a little slow on his feet today. Perhaps the ground is to blame for that. Sorensen. Almost losing the ball, managing to retain it. McGann. Cooper. Nice unload from Cooper to Mark Graham. Sorensen. Dean Bell couldn't hold the ball. Coming through, Pearce has it. So Australia in possession. Kiwis yet to get out of their own half. Roach still being allowed to get his pass away. Some quick hands there. Play on, says Robin Whitfield.
That was accidental by the Australian obstructing Filipano.
Shearer. Wallace the tackle. Sterling flicks it on. Folks. Man who made the crunching tackle towards the end of the first half on Hugh McGann. Mark Graham has just stolen it from Noel Cleary. Good wrap up at the top on Darryl Williams from Folks.
We're just not finding that cohesion out wide at the moment. The Kiwis are just not quite settled in their play. But the Australians' defensive pattern is quite superb. They're marking them man for man and sometimes two.
Owen Wright with the chip through. Being chased through vigorously by Joe Rodbody. My gosh, he's key today.
And how lucky can you be when you really punch a ball like that and it goes straight into the arms of the fullback?
Hustling and bustling the possession away from them. Kurt Sorensen flicking it up off the ground to Wayne Wallace. Wallace couldn't hold it. Owen Wright coming through tidies up.
Well, the conditions now have deteriorated quite a bit, and it's obviously you've got to play the game inside your opponent's 22, not spin the ball as they're doing at the moment. The Kiwis must kick a little bit more.
That's the second time in a few moments that Darryl Williams been up in the line. McGann looking to unload. Well, Ron Whitfield says play on. Australia possession. He certainly liberally interprets the advantage rule, doesn't he?
Yes, I think he realises the conditions are deteriorating badly and he's letting a bit of excitement come into the game, the uncertainty of trying to control the ball and giving as much advantage as he can to the Kiwis too.
Lewis still gets that pass back to Pearce. Gary Brome with a good wrap-up tackle over the top, making sure that Pearce couldn't get the ball away. Sterling kicks it through. Rodbody's under it. And here comes determined run number 45. Williams in the play again. He's had a lot to do with his second half, early as it is.
Oh, yes, he's had a very good game today, Darryl Williams. I still think we should kick this ball, but we're prepared to spin it wide and run into the gauntlet or trust the safety of people's hands.
For as long as the safety lasts. And again, possession given away. You can't blame them for trying to spin it.
Big difference at the moment is Australia are only about 32 metres away from New Zealand's line. The Kiwis are a long way to go, and we've got to work so hard to get there. And you can kick, and you can make tremendous ground by just kicking deep and putting pressure on the Australians.
Tunks breaking a couple of tackles there. Miles, Sterling. Roach. Still being allowed to unload. That was always going to be the danger. Sterling looking for options. As Pearce, and Pearce is hauled to ground quite unceremoniously by Kurt Sorensen.
I've got the feeling they're not too keen on each other out there, Tony, the way Kurt flew at him. And the penalty's gone New Zealand's way. They've got a difficult task here. They're in the centre of the field, and they're lucky if they're going to make the sideline, because this ball is very, very heavy, so they can't go for distance. It's just a question of getting it out on the full.
It's been a remarkably quiet test in that respect. It seems that Kurt Sorensen's the only one that is upsetting them. On both occasions there has been any little flare.
Yes, a change from when you think of Kevin Tarmody coming in hard and putting the fear into the Australians.
Now once again, the Kiwis trying to launch something. Kurt Sorensen dropping the ball that time. He fell on it.
So with Australia the loose head, a 4-3/4 stance, that's centres on either side of the scrum. Their weight is quite evident. Well, this is remarkable, Tony, to allow the scrum to go like this.
It's unusual refereeing by Robin Whitfield, but he said to us a couple of days ago that he would play advantage as long and as far as possible. Australia, Shearer. Caught by O'Hara. Simmons. Australia on the 22 now in Kiwi territory. Going right. Miles dumped. Pearce. And Mark Graham making sure in the tackle that he couldn't get the ball away that time. Lewis, the chip up. Sorensen dives on it. Disputed possession. The ball keeps going. It ends up with Gary Jack.
That was clever by the Australians. They knew the bomb was on because the sixth tackle was on them, and they went high to flick it straight back toward their own side. Very clever football.
Well, the New Zealand line really under threat in this last few minutes. Lewis. Well, it looked like clumsy passing. Tunks has the ball. The Kiwis a little slow on defence at the moment. Starting to show a little tiredness. The chip through. Who gets to that first?
Well, he's indicated a try straight away, and that's remarkable. He must have been well on the job. He made no hesitation, the referee. So he's given the try, and the Australian coach must be absolutely delighted, because that's it, I'd say, for this test. They've won it now.
Oh, we'll have to have a look at the replay. I think it was Shearer. Dale Shearer, the winger, who got there first. Have a look at this. A little chip through from Sterling. O'Hara racing back. Shearer got there, and yes, it appears that his hands got to it first. Robin Whitfield was right there. He's given it to Shearer.
Yes, there certainly was no hesitation. I'm just wondering whether he actually made complete contact. Let's have a look. Oh, my word, it's more like a push to me. I'd like to see that pretty much in slow motion.
Wow,
I just wonder whether he pushed that ball across the line, Tony.
We'll have a look at O'Connor's kick. Certainly the crowd weren't happy about it. Yes, the kick is there. 16 points to 2.
That's a lovely kick by O'Connor. He certainly is a very good instep kicker, extremely accurate, and that one was right down the centre.
Well, let's have a look at the replay again if we can. There was the chip through. Racing back for it was O'Hara and Darryl Williams. I don't know if that was a clean touch to you.
No question in my mind, Tony.
However, the points go on the board. It'll be in the paper tomorrow morning. And Dale Shearer is the scorer. 16 points to 2. Australia lead the Kiwis.
I think that's the biggest disappointment, the score of 14 points difference between both sides. Australia have really concentrated on getting points in that opening 12 minutes straight after half-time. And they've scored now in each of the first, you might say, 10 minutes of the start and now the second half of the game. That's really winning tactics.
A mammoth task now for the Kiwis to come back from this. Well, you don't get much keener in tackling than Hugh McGann then of Wally Lewis.
He's having a good game, this hooker.
Simmons being allowed to run. Finally brought down by Alston Filipina, but making enormous ground. Sterling with the kick. Rob Hardy going back for it. He has Williams with him. Dean Bell waiting. Are they going to go wide? Williams. Luluai. Well, Shane Cooper luckily was back there to cover, and the Kiwis have retained possession. Mark Graham getting his pass away. Filipina.
The Kiwis really are badly bunched at the moment. They're obviously unhappy with the way things have gone in that opening 12 minutes. They've seen the test drift away from them, and they're not quite formulating the plan they would like. Their backs and forwards are getting a little bit mixed up. Here's McGann looking to where Darryl Williams is before he kicks.
That's a nice kick. Well, that made him 40 metres.
So here's a good picture of the front row now, just to see how fast a striker is Simmons.
Lewis. Filipina has him. Shearer. Gary Jack. Simmons. He's run out of a few tackles today as Roy Simmons. Having a good test debut.
Australia very confident now. They're playing open-style football. They're quite happy with the way things have gone, and they're adopting quite a different attitude to the game now.
Peter Tunks injured by the looks in that tackle. Possession given away by Noel Cleal. Luck on the Kiwis side in the last couple of minutes. Sorensen.
Here's our hardest working forward out there today.
Not forward by Lewis, but Darryl Williams retaining possession for the Kiwis. And the kick through judged illegal. Dean Bell. Graham Lowe looking pensive. As well he might. The advantage seems to be with Australia.
Well, there was a double switch and no progress made upfield. We're just not quite punching home those gaps, which are appearing in the Australian line at times. But the Australians are just too quick, too fast, and now they're getting up inside the 5 metres.
I think might be a slight injury there to Owen Wright, getting up a little slowly, but he's okay.
Right.
He seems to be okay now. He's had a nagging ankle injury.
Well, it's taken us almost 18 minutes now to get somewhere around about the Australian 22 and getting a chance to try and have 5 play the balls to score our first try. And here's a rough chance now.
See what the Kiwis can do with it this time. Owen Wright, rather tentative into that tackle. There's Peter Tunks has come off. We imagine the replacement is Brian Niebling, who was the replacement forward nominated. Cooper through Bell. Lulaway caught with the ball, still getting the pass away to Bell. Bell goes back the other way, flicks the pass out to Frome. Keeping it alive, the Kiwis. Dean Bell in space. Yes, he can. Yes, Dean Bell.
Well, that's an unbelievable try. Really, the way it started, it never looked like a try. As you'll see, a number of players handled it. The Kiwis got lost in the momentum. And suddenly, from broken play, as quite often can occur, Bell has it, he's got the speed, he gets outside the fullback, and not even a smile yet from Graham Lowe either. Well, that was a glorious try. As I say, it came from nowhere, and we didn't look like scoring at any stage because we were running backwards. And suddenly it changes completely as Bell will eventually get the ball to score this great try.
Well, it looked like they were going nowhere at 6s and 7s. A lovely pass flicked up from Frome to Bell. And the moment Bell had it, he had that try line in his sights, and I don't think there was any question in his mind. Certainly it looked from my point of view as though he'd get there, knowing the determination of the man. Oh, superb finishing. A try really made out of nothing.
So Olsen on the 22, it's a big kick for him, but he's
looking at this try again. Look at Lulaway. He was caught, but he managed to get the pass away. Dean Bell was caught, featuring in it the first time. Then it went to Frome, and Frome managed to get it back to Bell. We'll come back and have a look at the latter stages of that as soon as Olsen Filipino has seen if he can put the extra points on the board. And this certainly will give the Kiwis heart. The flags are up, yes! 16-8.
Well, I think that we believe in miracles. 20 minutes to go and 8 points the difference.
And I'm not sure who's coming off, but I noticed that Mark Elia is being warmed up. So, as is Ron O'Regan. I wonder if Mark Elia is coming on, perhaps in an attempt to give them a little more pace out wide. Perhaps Dane O'Hara will come off. But 20 minutes gone, exactly halfway through the second half. And the scoreline reads 60-8 to Australia. Hugh McGann, his long limbs managing to get away from the tacklers. Mark Graham had a relatively quiet but solid game. Mark Graham has been marked very heavily, as has Olsen Filipino. Filipino has looked like he's had a little trouble getting the pace today on an unsure footing. He was always the man they were going to mark heavily. Williams. That's a good kick, but straight to Jack. Excellent tackle from Owen Wright. And another good one. They're going low now, stopping the Australians in their tracks. Well, since they scored that try, a much more aggressive approach. Got a little bit of space out here, Australia. Sterling flicks it wide. And the Kiwis have possession. Shane Cooper, I think it is, who came up with the ball, yes. Oh, this is a more confident display from the Kiwis now. Darryl Williams, just as I say that, letting the ball go as he ran onto it. Folks. Well, Australia were dented there for just a moment, but I think given a couple of minutes, they'll regain their composure. Already making progress, running straight with Steve Roach. Niebling, the replacement forward. Cleal. 18 minutes remain in this match for New Zealand to bring back that deficit. 16 points to 8. Hugh McGann, a good tackle.
Tremendous tackle, you might say.
Sterling with the kick. Darryl Williams running it back into play and out.
Well, clever play by the Australians then too. They drove him out over the sideline. They didn't hesitate, and it means they've got the loose head and they've got a chance to score. Very good play by those Australians.
And the ball's coming for them. Contested by Gary Brown. He sure isn't going to let go of it.
Sterling not happy there. He thought he had the ball. Frome said it's mine. The referee said it was New Zealand.
Certainly appeared to me as if Frome had it. Now Williams puts the ball out to take them up to the 22, just outside of it. See what the Kiwis can do from here.
It's not the same drive though in right today. He's not matching the Australians as far as aggressiveness.
Oh, good pass from Sorensen. Good quick hands to Luluai, to O'Hara. And they make the halfway line. Cooper.
They are lined up outside. If they can split it wide enough and hold it, they're way up to the far grandstand side. And clapping his hands to Rapati, trying to get it. It's a long way to go out there.
Filipina. Yes, gets the ball away. Wallace. Wallace looking to link up outside with Ropati, but took the tackle. Ropati absolutely eager to get at the action. Graham. Yes, the pass to McGann. Beautifully put up by Graham. This is more like the Kiwis we've come to expect with confidence.
This is great stuff now.
Gary Jack takes the high ball beautifully.
Oh yes, that was worth coming to see. The Aussies are not going to give this test away easy either. Their forwards are there quickly. There's their fullback Jack firing hard, and it's really on now. This is going to be a great last 15 minutes.
Certainly all is in readiness for an amazing last quarter. Now Williams going back, right underneath the posts. Has O'Hara with him, but opts to run it himself. Taken a little high in the first tackle by Miles. Luluai. It's had a fairly quiet game, James Luluai. Sorensen.
Solid stuff, Tony. I think Kurt's had a tremendous game. He's really worked hard for New Zealand. Credit too to the Australian front row. They've been equally as effective as Sorensen for New Zealand.
Gary Frome. Darryl Williams with the kick through. Shearer's waiting to pick it up. And caught very quickly by James Luluai. New Zealand still haven't made the substitutions. Australia starting to look a little tired in defence. One imagines the Kiwis are going to be just as tired. Right on the halfway now. Miles has had a quieter second half than the first half. His combinations with Kenny were superb. Sterling again with the kick. Dane O'Hara couldn't grab it, but it was out on the full. Now, the Australian players are arguing that O'Hara touched it. I think he did too.
Yes, I thought he did. However, the line umpire's the sole judge out there. The referee's accepted his decision. Back to the 10 metres they come in New Zealand territory. A lucky break, I'd say, for the Kiwis.
Dane O'Hara certainly isn't saying anything about it. Filipina. O'Hara. Needing again to get out of their own half, the Kiwis. Oh, bad pass. Lewis knocked it on.
Still querying the New Zealand tactics of wanting to run it right across their back line when the conditions, particularly at the scoreboard end of Carlaw Park, are quite bad. About 30 metres out, the ground is quite churned up at times.
Ball coming the Kiwis' way. The Australians being warned that they're up offside. They're a mile offside. Williams. Switching direction, still quick hands again. Mark Graham managing to get his pass back, but not directly to Kurt Sorensen, whom it was intended for. O'Hara straightens up.
I don't know what the penalty was for, but he must have indicated that he lay on him or did something illegal, and that was Noel Cleo getting penalised.
And here is the touch judge on the paddock. All right.
Well, that's disappointing, Tony. There's no one about that back line there, and we've got a kick for touch, found it, and there's hardly a soul out amongst the three-quarter line. That's not good attacking play from New Zealand.
Now we have Mark Elia racing up and down the sideline, getting warmed up. Can't quite see who it is he's going to replace, although the physiotherapist for the Kiwis, Glenn Gallagher, has been on the paddock. One imagines conveying the message of who it will be. Australian back replacement Terry Lamb is on the field. Number 14 there.
You don't really give hookers a great deal of credit for fine football, but I think today the Australians have got a very good one in Royce Simmons, who's taken over from Greg Conescu. He's done a tremendous job today, and he's certainly shown a lot more skills than a hooker in loose play.
Darryl Williams and Joe Roparty with some misunderstanding under that ball, both trying to take it.
And bad luck that Shane Cooper was caught offside. It's one of those unfortunate happenings. He had to take it, bounced straight off the chest, straight into his arms, and Australia with a chance to gain another 2 points.
Now Mark Elia coming on, just waiting to see who is coming off. I think it's James Luluai who's coming off. Yes, James Luluai has been replaced by Mark Elia. And Ron O'Regan warming up as well. That's Ron O'Regan shaking hands there with the off-coming James Luluai.
So Joe Roparty's gone to centres, Tony, and Elia's gone out on the grandstand wing.
Now who's Ron O'Regan going to replace? Seems to be some discussion about that.
Wayne Wallace.
Yes, it is the hooker Wayne Wallace who's coming off.
It looks like Gary Prome might move up because he's recognised as a hooker. I'm not too sure who else is a good hooker in that New Zealand side. That's a very interesting change to see. Well, he's very close in for this shot at goal. He must rely on accuracy here. He's only about 16 metres away from the try line.
Just 8 minutes remain in this match, and it's been a bit of an off and on day for Mike O'Connor. We'll have to wait and see what happens with the scrum, but I would imagine it will be Gary Prome who goes up to hooker and Ron O'Regan into the back of the scrum. Regan, first tackle of the match.
There's a bit of a shape-up there at the moment going on. And I thought one of the Australians had a good look at New Zealand, decided not to take the ball, and maybe something must have happened earlier on. But the referee has wisely penalised the Australians, because I think there's a bit of chatter going on. Oh, he's put him in the sin bin for 10 minutes. Well. The big pop, which is Steve Roach. New Zealand have got a rough chance here, Tony.
Indicated sin bin, but he didn't seem too keen to go there. And maybe he's changed his mind.
Well, yes, he put up his fingers to indicate 10 minutes, and now he said no, a penalty. Well, there's certainly different rulings from the English referee.
Right. Losing the ball forward in the tackle.
That's bad play, New Zealand. Then they've got a chance. They had a penalty. The tap was taken. No one right just couldn't hold it. It's not good football.
Australia ball. Sterling out with it quickly. Ronald Regan, the tackler, along with Nelson Filipino. See if they can keep the Australians in their own half, which is really what they need to do, and capitalise on whatever chances they can get. But they need to be closer to the line than they have been thus far in this second half. The big arms of Mark Graham make a perfect wrap-up tackle. Lewis with the kick through. O'Hara getting back for it, but it's going to go out on him.
I would like to see this referee turn his back a little bit and have a look at Wayne Pearce, the Australian who's forward. He's a mile offside, and he's got away with it now for the last 20-odd minutes. When they know there's a kick coming for a deep touch finder, away goes Pearce, and he's literally about 4 or 5 metres ahead of the kicker. He's doing it deliberately, and it's a pity that the referee is not turning around to look.
So the Kiwis back up midway, halfway, and 22. Kurt Sorensen.
Oh, he took him on then with his elbow straight into his waist. Pretty solid stuff out in that one.
Regan. Fresh pair of legs. Cooper. Mark Graham. Knocked on by Dan O'Hara. Not having one of his best games today in his 32nd Test match. First touch of the ball for Mark Elia. Oh, they'll be in trouble if Mark Elia gets away. Even on a paddock like today, he still has blinding pace. A superb player who really has matured since he's been to St Helens in England. Throw party. Dean Bell.
The Australians are very solid now in defence. They're moving over extremely quickly. They're getting stood back about 10 metres too, and they're coming right up on New Zealand in a hurry. They're making sure that the score is going to stay 16-8 to the end of the game, which is only about 3 minutes away.
O'Connor right in the middle there. Kurt Sorensen trying to pass over his head. O'Connor took the ball like a basketballer. And really an enormous amount of hard work is going into every inch that the Kiwis gain when they're in possession. Australian defence holding very well. Now Cleal, the pass looked forward to him. Gary Jack flicks it up, and there's a dead simple finish for Folks.
Well, that was a glorious try by Australia, and it certainly put this test well beyond issue now, but a very good link there, I thought, by the second row of Folks, and some nice work too by the halfback, Peter Sterling.
When we get a look at the replay, Des, have a look at the initial pass.
Oh, it was a question whether it was a forward at one stage. I'm not quite on the right angle. That's the one I thought could have been a forward pass.
I certainly felt it was at the time, but we won't take it away from Australia. The try there to Steve Folks from Canterbury Bankstown, making his test debut. Has had an excellent game of defence and now showing that he's an attacking footballer as well.
Well, it looks like the score is going to be 22-8. I think the clock almost says full time, and I suppose that might be a fairly true indication of the strength of Australia. I thought they played the better tactics, and they started off so well with a try in the opening 10 minutes, Tony. Another one straight after half-time. Those are winning test match tactics to me, to get those tries. And then that great play by their centre, Brett Kennedy. He was quite outstanding, I thought. New Zealand just couldn't seem to settle down to contain. They had their moments and looked very, very strong at times, but just couldn't finish off. The break maybe of Luluai, had he taken the intercept, could have swung the game maybe a bit more toward New Zealand's way. But of course that conversion of formality for the Australians, and a lead of 22-8, well, a good victory for them.
I can see somebody has, some wit has moved the clock back by 10 minutes to allow the Kiwis a little extra time. I don't think the referee will be taking too much notice of that. Don Furner must be well pleased with this Australian side. The defence has held excellently, and certainly they have taken their attacking opportunities whenever they've arisen. It'll be interesting to analyse the mistakes made by both sides. Gary Crone, over the top to Filipina, to McGann, back inside. The Royal Party trying to make the line. We're right on full time now. Filipina trying to bust through, but there's no way through there. Dying moments of the game now. The Kiwis desperately want to put a try on the board. Graham. Roll Party only just managing to pick it off his bootlaces and diving into the tackle. The full-time hooter is gone. The bomb from Shane Cooper. Play it, says the referee. Bounces off the posts. Oh, and a real scramble in there. And that's the end of the match, flown by Robin Whitfield. So Australia come out the winners by 22 points to 8. Just one try to the Kiwis, to Dean Bell, converted by Elson Filipina. The penalty in the first half to Elson Filipina. But Australia, with the superb centre combination of Brett Kenny and Gene Miles in the first half, resulted in 2 tries to Brett Kenny. And in the second half, a try to Dale Shearer that I thought was dubious, where he raced through and managed to get his hands to the ball in time for a press on it. Let's say a momentary touch of the ball over the